Are we all that important to one another? Have you ever waited for the phone to ring, or just in general? Even if you didn't know the person more than a conversation or a glance, for the next time you could be in the same place at the same time, where your brains both focused on each other and the words flowed from inspiration instilled by the other person? I and any of my ex-girlfriends will tell you I will not jump into girlfriend and boyfriend status fast. And I expect to know a whole lot about a person before I can see taking that step. It isn't that I am afraid of a relationship. It is that I am one of those rare few who actually thinks the title of girlfriend or boyfriend is still important. And if I'm going to take that step of commitment to the other person, I want to make sure I am invested, and them in return. That is where I think I either hit or miss. I treat the dating in the beginning as a different animal. I look to find out as much as possible when I'm talking to someone. I want to know that the other person on the other end of the phone or in front of my face is able to give me who they are, unabated, without the need for a title to open up. This usually ends up poorly for me because I find that not many people are willing to build their walls from the ground up. They go in with a castle fully defended, ready for battle. So by the time my words and personality shine through, breaking down their walls, my walls have been built up to shelter me from the empty feeling I got back. Not to mention all the rubble from their walls breaking down have now caused another wall at my feet. And then it's nearly impossible for me to be myself anymore because I fully expect my first impressions are going to continue. Which I have to say are usually not too off. Not in a pretentious way, but in the idea that people usually show their true colors with those walls up, because when you break them down, it just means they are down for you, not the people around them. As well, they've only broken down the relationship walls. Who is to say if they are acting differently to you than a friend or a family member? I mean, why do we even build walls in the first place? What is so scary about being hurt by someone not working out on a relationship level? Shouldn't we be running headlong into these situations so we can have as many as possible to find what we want as quickly as possible? For a culture in need of love, it's amazing how many boundaries we have put up that prevent us from getting there. Personally, I think of love as a starting point, not the end. When you find love, and maybe even marriage, you are free of this stigma placed upon you at birth. You've found the Holy Grail. Now you have a whole lot more to look forward to with this everlasting life without the need to squander the earth for love. So what will you do with eternity? But I'm off topic. What is it that causes that feeling in our stomach when we have an interaction with someone that feels right? What makes us pace back and forth, whether we admit it or not, or whether our life is busy enough to let it be more than a thought here or there? I think we all get that. I think we also have a tendency to try to make it go away so we don't seem desperate or anxious. We all want to be cool, but isn't it cool to know that someone else is intriguing to you and you to them? Shouldn't we share those moments? It reminds me of past relationships and how I ask someone to the next step of it. It has always been something very memorable. Maybe I put a fortune in a fortune cookie that said, "Will you go out with me?" Not because I must have it be a special moment, but because I'm inspired to think about the time ahead of us as important. And I want to be able to perhaps one day look back on it and remember. You only get that moment once. A Polaroid in time. Something you flip through a scrapbook when you're older, and just you know the feeling it held for you. I don't want to tell my kids, "Me and mommy met at a bar," or "I was doing jello shots off her curves," or "I swiped on her on the toilet." I want it to be special to me and her. So I listen, I absorb, and trust me, we all have something that means something to us, as menial as it may be, that makes for the perfect moment. It is like the idea of digital cameras these days. They are so easily accessible in our pockets on our phones that we end up not using them. Back in the days of my parents, to take a video, it was this big to-do: lights, microphones, heavy equipment, and expensive film. So when Grandpa or Dad busted out the camera, as much as you may object, you did it anyway because it was special. And God, those videos have emotion and raw truth to them, because no one said, put that away. Or if they did, it was shrugged off as funny. I want to find someone in my life that agrees with the idea that a camera should be passed from hand to hand, snapping times of life together. Not just a way to grab a point, smile, click shot, but a mini photo shoot in the middle of the street on the way to work, where both people on each end of the camera can look back later and see, this is who we were. I want to be able to rifle through a box of Polaroids with someone and show my kids how old I really am. Again, I'm off topic. I enjoy those moments when I sit antsy waiting for the next encounter where I can talk to someone that made an impression. I don't expect any more than a conversation. I guess I want to say I break the mold of, oh my God, I need to be with you, and that is why I have butterflies until our next talk. No, I just want to be able to share with someone who seems to be able to understand my musings and theirs inspire mine to keep going. It seems to me that showing interest in someone or admitting to the feeling of butterflies defies your true intentions. It is as if you just gave the person an arrow for the bow they had strung, and be damned, they are going to fire quickly. But why would they fire? Because you have just given them the advantage. They now control the situation because either they can agree they enjoy the time with you and even the playing field, or they can shoot it as fast as possible to quell all odds of the dice roll when meeting someone for the first time. Just because I'm interested in someone doesn't mean we are good for each other. I base that first feeling on just that, a feeling, an impression, an aura of the person. That doesn't mean I know anything about them, but it does mean I want to find out. I want to be able to have that open conversation over and over, where each time we have to stop talking, I feel more nervous stomach feelings because it's working, not because it's uncomfortable. To get to the point where I pursue someone, I need to at least have them open up and spend time with me and I with them. All I can say is, in the beginning, wow, you make me feel good. And that is good enough for me. But why should I hide it in a cat and mouse game? I won't, and I will dig my grave with many people and many relationships, and I have, but I will not give up on the idea that eventually someone will be interested in kissing at the beginning of the date, just to see if that chemistry is there instead of spending too much time of small talk and guessing. At the same time, there needs to be a balance. Those moments and where you wait for the phone to ring. I loved what my stepmother said once. She said, where and when I find the person I am meant to be with, it will be explosive. Because after all this thought and all these ideas, if the other person has had half of these thoughts too, the conversation should be frickin' fireworks. We do not need to assume everything about a person's intentions if we just live to share. There is no reason to be afraid of a conversation because it may lead to happiness. And if it doesn't work out the way of love, then we had a great conversation. And that conversation helped to build us as people. We are all so important to one another. The people we come across, the music we listen to, the moments we have, they are forever. As much as we may push forward to further our careers or just to enhance our daily lives with shit not being boring, at the end of the day, the people around us are the real important part. They are what helps us to be who we are because we then have someone else to base our existence on. The old adage, if a bear shits in the woods, a movie I just watched said, the bravest people are those who are not afraid to stay still. This is a difficult idea for me. I am one of those people who wishes for the simpler life, but knows I would need something to give me that monumental feeling of completeness in my mind to be able to enjoy that kind of life. And I don't mean to stop being creative or stop my flow of consciousness. I mean to be able to go and live upstate and turn off my phone 90% of the time versus 10%. I still want to live in the world. I just want to pull back a little bit from the annoyances. To go out into the woods and camp out of the hood of a car or sit in the sweltering heat with a person that makes me feel good, that the sweat and the bugs are not a bother but a feeling. Side by side, staring blankly upward but there together. There's no topic too big or too small. I guess to find someone that understands when to be silent and when to chat nonstop would be really nice. When to just be in the moment and when to search for it. I often reference Alabama type shit for those moments because I find they are the most relatable through pop culture or movies Being that I am a city boy at heart and I find the romance in the city to be truly amazing, the sidewalks, the graffiti, the random tree here and there, the parks, the lighting, the busy streets filled with people, the food at 4 a.m. These all are places I picture adventures as well. How I will find it, life still hasn't told me.